If you'd like to join us, come on over the University of Utah right in front of the John R. Park Memorial Building. And again, this is a demonstration held by University of Utah students demanding that the president resign over the cover-up of abuses that have been reported.
It's also kind of long, so I'm sorry. My name is Rebecca Hardenbrook. I am a third-year PhD student in the math department and an undergraduate alumna of the U. Last year, after Lauren McCluskey was murdered and months of getting no answers or progress from the university, we started Unsafe U to research and raise awareness about the various safety failings on our campus. I honestly thought that we would find some bad policy that could be easily fixed. I thought that administration would be willing and ready to work with us after we released about 11 items that the U could easily do or fix. I was so fucking naive to think that this administration, led by this president, would listen to us. I never imagined that my university would actively withhold evidence on alleged rape cases committed by a football player. One of the victims was a 17-year-old refugee. I never imagined that President Watkins, our first female president of the U, would allow this cover-up to happen. I never fucking imagined that the same president would actively block a policy brief outlining Title IX and Office of Equal Opportunity failings at my university. I never imagined that this same president would fail to ensure that former officer Miguel de Rosa's misconduct be appropriately investigated. President Watkins has failed us. In the time since Unsafe U has existed, we have requested a meeting with her, only to be offered every time a less than 30-minute slot, like 3 or 4 months out. Ruth? Yeah, fuck that. Fuck that. Ruth, I get it, man. Prioritizing student safety is hard when your top priority is holding on to an over $800,000 paycheck and making sure that rich old white men are comfortable.
Fuck.
Luckily for you, student safety doesn't have to be an annoyance when you're no longer in office. Woo! And we, the students at the University of Utah, will ensure this is no longer a bother for you.
Hell yeah!
Campus police departments, listen closely to this, campus police departments, like the UUPD, are under the immediate control or influence of the administration. Again, I'll repeat that. Campus police departments like the UUPD are under the immediate control or influence of the university administration. Does that make any fucking sense to you? In what other institution does leadership have the power to create and maintain a police force besides our fascist government? The corruption of an administration is not disjoint from their police department on their campus and vice versa. On the topic of the UUPD, I want to reiterate some stats. 71.3% of the quote-unquote crime reported by the UUPD on our campus is related to drugs or alcohol. 71.3%. However, much research shows that the best solution to drug and alcohol abuse is not, and it's never, the police, but an expansion of access to resources. Of the remaining 29.7% of crime, 46% are interpersonal violence or sexual assault, and 1.5% are hate crimes, and 4% are aggravated assault. Less than 3%, according to our campus climate survey, of all student interpersonal violence and sexual assault survivors reached out to the UUPD. Less than 3%. How many students are suffering? Our Center for Student Wellness and our University Counseling Center don't have the resources to help all of the people being affected by IPV and sexual assault. And the UUPD, which is getting their funds, these funds, are inequipped to handle these cases. Training does not work. I don't care how good the training is. Training these officers to do these jobs is significantly more expensive and less effective than building a robust community services division or fully financially supporting the Center for Student Wellness.
Yes.
Sorry, those papers are going to be flying around. I should have done this on my phone. I want to shift a little, though. Unsafe U often addresses campus sexual assault, and we always will continue to do that. But I think it's really important right now to address the struggles that our students of color face on our campus. Like I mentioned earlier, 1.5% of that remaining 29.7% of crime that was reported are hate crimes, which we know nationally is notoriously underestimated. But somehow that is equally, if not more terrifying to me than the following. Some UUPD officers have said that the majority of calls they receive have been from white students calling to report suspicious black and brown students on our campus.
Fuck that!
Yeah, fuck that. It's incredibly fucked up to say that we are fortunate to not have had a police shooting on our campus. But the pattern of behavior of white people fearing black and brown folks for existing is not something we are immune from. We cannot allow for one of our students to become another name that we write on a sign and that we mourn in the street at the top of our lungs. We must protect their right to learn, to live, and to exist on our campus without worrying about being at the unjust mercy of the police. So, what do we do? As Sidney J. Harris said, democracy is the only system that persists in asking the powers that be whether they are the powers that ought to be. We are here today on our campus to say that we are no longer asking whether President Watkins is fit for the job or if the UUPD should exist. We are demanding that the system be changed fundamentally.
Woo!
I'll finish up by outlining our demands so that everyone can hear it. We demand that Ruth Watkins resign by the end of the 2020-2021 academic year. We demand that the U of U does not default to hiring Senior Vice President Lori McDonald or any current University of Utah administrator as president. We demand that a nationwide search with a consistent and well-advertised student input component be put into place immediately. We demand a hiring committee be established with at least 3 student representatives, the ASU student body president, 1 student nominated by a CESA or BCC affiliated organization, and 1 student at large. By the way, if you don't know what CESA is, the Center for Ethnic Student Affairs, and the BCC is the Black Cultural Center. We demand that within the next year, the U of U commit to abolishing the UUPD.
Woo!
This includes creating no indefinite service contracts with the Salt Lake City Police Department, the Unified Police Department, the state troopers, any other police department, or any private security firm.
Yeah!
We demand that the funds currently used for the UPD instead fund the Center for Student Wellness, the University Counseling Center, a legal clinic to aid students, and our student organizations. We demand that a transition committee be established immediately to draft a proposal as to the specifics of this financial transition and how to ensure safety on our campus post-abolition. We demand that a significant portion of this committee be composed of BIPOC student leaders.
Woo!
We demand the release of all public safety data pertinent to our university via a publicly available and user-friendly interface. And finally, we demand that all reports and policy briefs regarding the failures of our Office of Equal Opportunity and our Title IX office be made public immediately.
Woo!
The last thing I want to say before I have Helena come up to the mic is that I have some sheets over there. I'll pass them out while they're speaking that have sort of the actions that we can take next, including emailing people, certain specific people that have influence over these decisions, not just random people. One action that's not listed on here is that we're going to keep having to show up. This is not going to happen immediately just because we listed demands. We listed demands about a year ago, and we did not get a meeting with President Watkins. We've had some bullshit meetings with certain administrative people, and nothing's really come out of that. So we're going to have to keep showing up. We're going to have to keep getting in their face. We're going to have to disrupt their day and their job because they're not going to have their job any longer if they don't fucking listen.
Woo!
All right. You want to come up to Mike? Cool.
Hi, my name is Helena, and I'd just like to start off by thanking Unsafe U for putting this together. And I'd also like to thank my friends Jolene Wojcner and Alan Gutierrez for sharing their experiences with me and helping me write what I'm about to tell you. As a 20-year-old female college student, I have often found myself talking to my friends and peers about our experiences with sexism and harassment on campus. Because of the lack of care the University of Utah has provided for victims, I have seen many students find their only support system in their peers here at the U. But as part of your community, we don't want your only source of support to be your peers. We want the university to provide a safe space for you and the future classes. We are here today not only to push the university to take action, but to show support for each other where the U has failed us. Freshman year, my friend was drugged at a party. Her roommates were put in a situation where they had to decide whether they should get help from the police or the community. These girls called their resident assistant, who as a mandatory reporter contacted the university security to investigate. University security asked very few questions and quickly determined that there was no reason for my friend to be taken to the hospital. And then campus security left without taking a statement to further conduct an investigation. My friend was never checked up on, her experience was never recorded, and her assailant was never investigated. This is just one case of the many that has slipped through the hands of the university and slipped through the public safety data. The University of Utah administration's goal is to protect their image, not their students. Ruth Watkins' pursuit to hide rape allegations made against 2 Utes football players was recently brought to light, and when compared to the way the university treated Lauren McCluskey's call for help, it becomes clear just how misogynistic the university administration truly is. Yes. After Lauren's death, the university pledged 30 recommendations to ensure safety for their students and have advertised campus safety in their new student orientation and university policies, most of which have failed so far. One of the university's more advertised safety features is their police safety escort, which is available for students to be escorted by an officer to their on-campus destination. But to many students who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color, police safety is an oxymoron. The SLCPD has shown a history of racism and corruption. How can we expect a corrupt system to ensure the safety of our Black and brown peers? This issue extends past minorities. My same friend who was drugged avoided reaching out to officers for help in fear that they may be ticketed for being under the influence. The university security system is in place to protect assailants and ignore victims. Creating the image of a safe university doesn't change the amount of sexual assault incidents that happen on campus. This is why we demand real change. We demand transparency of public safety data, we demand more funding towards counseling, and we demand abolition of the University of Utah Police Department. Woo! Thank you, guys.
All right, let's give her a round of applause. That was good.
Thank you.
All right, our next speaker, their name is Kate. I'll invite them to come up and speak their piece.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Kate. I'm with PSL here in Salt Lake. Thank you to everyone who's coming out. Thank you to Unsafe U, who pushes this vital issue on our campus. She's pushing for it, you guys. Give her a round of applause. It's hard. It's hard. It's sad. It's really sad, especially when you're not getting any help from the university or institution. It's supposed to protect you. I just have a couple words I want to say about the issues at hand. This is obviously a case of a lot of sexism in the case of Lauren McCluskey, a lot of violence against women. It's hard to hear about, but we got to do it because she had to live it. This is a multi-system failure that has taken place at the university. There are multiple departments and individuals who let Lauren McCluskey down, and it's hard to say, she was murdered here, and it could have been stopped. It could have been stopped over and over and over again, and it wasn't. There were 3 cops involved in actual violation, in actual crime. There are detectives who are not doing their jobs. There's a president who's protecting the people who are not doing their jobs. And there's a super system And that super system starts to see its capitalism. Kyle Whittingham, the coach of the University of Utah football team, makes $3.3 million a year. But we can't afford to have resources for students because it's not lucrative, because it doesn't produce money for the university. Because when there are students who are alive and are learning, it is not as important as football players. It is not important. She was even an athlete, but not a lucrative one apparently. She wasn't making enough money. Ruth Watkins, I think Rebecca said this earlier, makes almost $1 million a year.
Fuck that!
So I don't want to hear that there's no money for this. I don't want to hear that the system in place is doing enough. It's not. There are resources. They are available. They're just not being used. Football team lives comfortably. You ever been to the athletic department where they eat? There's fucking shrimp there. So you've got football players who are raping students and eating shrimp, and the female women, the students can't even come forward about it. This is our campus. This is where we're supposed to learn. This is where we are supposed to have education. We are supposed to have the access to sleep on our bed at night as a student of color and know you are safe. To go anywhere as a woman and to know that you are going to be safe. And that if anyone decides that they're going to take it upon themselves to make you unsafe, you will be protected by the institution that is supposed to protect you. When we're talking about the abolition of police, that's a revolutionary idea. It is not an idea that should be in your mind as far as Ruth Watkins is concerned, because it makes her life easier to have police who violate their students. 3 cops. One, obviously, what's his name, Duras? Miguel? Yeah. He's the exploiter, he's the extorter, goes around taking advantage of the evidence that Lauren McCluskey gave him of her own extortion. Shows it to another officer. That officer doesn't do anything. There's a third officer who hears it, doesn't do anything. No fucking good cops. There are no good cops.
You're right.
So we need to be an organized entity. There can be no hate in a revolution. We need to be a collected group of people. We need women. We need black women. We need transgender women. We need gay women. We need women. And guess what? We need men. I get it. It's really easy to push them aside as the offenders, as the abusers. But no change takes place unless we are united. We need black men. We need gay men. We need white men. It's what it is.
You're right.
If you have hate in your heart for your fellow citizen, no revolution can take place. I'm angry. You're angry. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. Use your anger not to hate your fellow citizen. Don't waste your anger on your fellow citizen, on your fellow revolutionaries. You are here because you believe in revolutionary ideas. It does not matter your gender. Do not hate men. Use your anger to hate the system that conjures up and produces the violence that we see. There's only one person that actually pulled the trigger. It took Lauren McCluskey's life. But there is a super system, multi-system in place that did nothing to stop it.
Right.
Don't hate men. If you're a man, love yourself. I understand. White person, you gotta have your own guilt. Have it, use it, but don't hate yourself. Don't hate your fellow revolutionaries. Because that's exactly what they want. Because the more divided that we are, the less organized we are. And if we have no organization, we have no mobilization. Nothing changes when we are divided.
Exactly.
Right.
Love yourselves. Love each other. Take that anger out on the system that is creating the violence, that encourages, does not discourage cops from walking around showing evidence of extortion to other cops. No one does a thing. Ruth Watkins is a woman. Does it fucking stop her from not giving a shit about the women on campus? It doesn't matter. Your gender, your age, your class, your race. Do not waste your energy and your hate on dividing ourselves. Do not waste it on racism, sexism, classism. Love yourselves. Love each other. And power to the people
because it takes people to make this shit happen. So show up. This is awesome. Keep it going. Love yourselves. Love each other. Don't forget Lauren McCluskey. You guys are here because of that. Power to the people.
All power to the people!
Thank you, Kate. I'm going to read some words from my friend Brooke Martin, who used to be a student athlete here. She was Lauren's running partner, and she's also a member of Unsafe U. So, here we are, gathered at the park building once again. I was 17 when I first arrived on this campus for my freshman year of college. I had a class in President's Circle. I was thrilled each Friday to trek down to what I thought at the time was the most beautiful part of campus. I was 20 years old the next time I found myself in President's Circle, except that time it was for a vigil. The vigil of my teammate who was murdered on campus. A year later, I found myself here again, that time to demand accountability for the preventable murder of the same person. So, here we are, 11 months later. Does anyone feel safer? No. I turned 22 last week. Lauren should be 23. However, when she called over 20 times to report her feelings of unsafety, she was not only blatantly ignored, but we now know she was also exploited. She was exploited by the very people whose duty it was to serve and protect her. These individuals cowered at their desks, transferring her from department to department, but could be seen flooding Mario Capecci with their flashing lights and sirens as they raced up to the scene of her murder. We now know that the harassment did not end there. Even at the scene of her murder, the officers who should have prevented this death exploited her. And to this day, Ruth Watkins protects these individuals. Cops have no place on our campus. Their blatant abuse of power is evident. Their unscrupulous acts prove no room for protection. They protect and serve their own. No one else. If Lauren's murder wasn't enough, what is? Lauren McCluskey should be here today. The UUPD should not be, and neither should Ruth Watkins, who used her power as president to enable the abuse that led to Lauren's murder. Today, I demand you decide. You control today. You make the change today for Lauren. I want to open up the mic just to give people a chance to say some words. I know everyone here is pretty enraged, rightfully so, and I want to give the space for people to speak. Does anyone want to speak? Don't be afraid. I'll give people time to decide if they really want to speak or not. One thing I just want to reiterate is that President Watkins was aware of the withholding of evidence in the rape cases. She is complicit in Lauren McCluskey's murder. She is complicit in all of the cases of sexual assault and abuse that could have been prevented by not funding the departments that people need the most and by siding with the campus police every time that they fuck up. She is complicit in all of this. I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, she's the president, she's not aware of what's happening at the UUPD. Why isn't she aware of what's happening up there? She's damn well aware. But even if she wasn't, that's a failing on her part as the president of the university. If you are in charge of a system which is actively abusing people, you are part of that abuse. There's no getting beyond that. So I just want to remind people that we do have actions going forward, like the ones on the sheets. Please email those people. Those are influential figures at the university that a lot of students don't know about. If we can send Ruth letters all she wants, she's not going to resign on her own. We have to pressure the people that are above her. We need to pressure the Board of Trustees. We need to pressure the Utah System for Higher Education. We need to put the pressure on our senators and our representatives, even the ones who like to come out to the BLM protest downtown and act like they're on our side. You need to send them emails. I just want to say I love you all very much for coming. I would love you anyways, but I really appreciate that you're here today. We're going to keep fighting. If you want to join Unsafe U, we are accepting any and all students. Please let us know. We do a lot of research, but we're trying to organize more actions like this as time allows and getting people to come out. I know the pandemic is difficult, but we can be here. You all are here. I know you know people who could be here too. So let's make that happen. You can message us on Instagram, you can email us, you can talk to me now. I can get your phone number on Signal, and we can set that up. I also want to give a big shout out to PSL, to the Salty Street Medic Collective back there, to Mutual Aid for our streets, to BLM-SLC, to Utah Against Police Brutality. I'm trying not to forget anyone, but to literally everyone. Oh, Dismantle Now, thank you. I want to thank everyone for posting about it on their Instagram and for just doing that outreach. It's really difficult up here as a campus community to kind of get the attention of the entire community. But we're not disjoint. Our students live downtown. Our students face the same things that you face. We're just stuck up here in the mountains. So please help support us. We want to support you too. So let's build that community and build that love and that trust and that support for one another. Okay, thank you all so much. You're free to go, but if anyone does want to come up, we could say something on the mic real quick. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming and showing up.
Thank you.
Hi, I just want to say I'm so proud of you guys. I'm actually not a student here. I'm an alumni of the U. And I just want you guys to know that as an alumni, I support all of the work that you guys are doing. You should always feel safe when you come to this campus. You shouldn't ever feel like you can't express that you're unsafe and stuff. And so I will continue to support you guys in any way I can. I send letters and emails often to the alumni director and all of those people. I've taken out money out of the scholarships that I was funding out of some programs because I just feel like very strongly that we cannot continue to let Ruth Watkins be in her office anymore. So always know that the alumni, we're here to support you too. So as you guys organize, I'm going to come up and continue to support you as well.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess the last thing, if you all have posters and you want to put them the fuck up on there. They're going to have to take them off. That's their shit to deal with. And we need them to hear them or hear us. I guarantee that most of them are not in here. Even though they have students on campus taking classes, it's somehow unsafe for them to be here. So let's put those posters up there so they can see that we were here, see that we were demanding that Ruth resign, and that the UUPD be abolished.
Woo! Alright, so the event is over. If you'd like to find out more, go ahead and follow Unsafe U on their social media pages. And also come on out and support when they do post up their events. Thanks for tuning in, and